The difference between the Vanguard Dividend Growth Fund and the Vanguard Dividend Appreciation Fund. There is a difference, man. It'll be good for you to know the difference as well. So let's dive into this. Here's my Vanguard Dividend Growth Fund, VDIGX. And full disclosure, I actually own this fund. Big fan, first time, long time. So what we're going to do here, because there's a huge difference between these two, all right? And what we're going to do is we're going to hit Overview. And we're going to say, okay, what do we got here? Well, this is an actively managed fund by Wellington. All right, so I like Wellington, and even though it's actively managed, it's only 27 basis points for the fee. So a very low expense fee relative to other actively managed funds. All right, so what are they trying to do? It's designed to provide investors with some income while offering exposure to dividend-focused companies that have the ability and commitment to grow their dividends. All right, well, that's interesting. Okay, good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at we're going to go a little bit deeper into this because I want to show you something. Hold on a second. All right, so here's a Vanguard Dividend Appreciation Fund. Overview. Low-cost index fund seeks to track a benchmark that provides exposure to a U.S. companies that have a history of increasing dividends. Focus on high-quality companies that have both the ability and commitment to grow their dividends over time. Almost identical, right? But it's not identical. Here's 8 basis points. That's the fee. So it's, what's that, 2/3 lower than the dividend growth fund. Once you get that low, it's pretty much the same thing. Managed by the Vanguard Equity Index Group. Right, so basically the summary is the same. The fees are roughly the same. One's an index fund, one's an actively managed fund. But here's where it gets a little bit different. I want to show you guys something. So we're going to look at, actually, let's look at the yield on this guy. 1.65 is a 30-day SEC yield as of the end of January. Let's see what the dividend growth fund is. I don't know off the top of my head, so let's just check it out, shall we? All right, so the dividend growth fund yield is I'll pause it right now. I'll have to pause. All right, so there's a dividend yield of 1.66 for the VDIGX. And I forgot what VDAD was, DADX. I forgot. So 1.66 for dividend growth. And while we're waiting for it to run, we got 1.65 for the index fund. So they seem relatively the same, right? No. Let's go to portfolio. Yep, we're going to go to portfolio. Portfolio management, they got 212 shares in there, 212 shares, and they're trying to match the index of the NASDAQ US Dividend Achievers Index. So they're literally trying to match this. So look, 1,212 stocks, 1,212 stocks. And interesting, if we go to performance, here's a top 10, Microsoft, Walmart, J&J, all that. So if we go to performance right here, remember it's 8 basis points, right? What's the difference in performance? Well, let's go on down. Since inception in 2014, 11.4 for the index and 11.31 for the fund, for the ETF. So literally, they matched the performance of the index minus a small amount of fees you paid, between 8 and 9 basis points. I mean, it's just that simple. Isn't that crazy? That's how easy it is to figure this stuff out when it comes to performance of funds relative to a benchmark. Well, what's the fee for index funds? I mean, if the fee's 100 basis points, that's 1%. There's no reason to invest in that index, none whatsoever. Let's see here. So notice anything too. The performance before taxes since inception is about 12%. The performance after taxes is about 11.4. So they lost, what's that, 60 basis points in after taxes. That's interesting. So I want to show you something. All right. So we see basically the same yield, basically the same performance as the index. All right, what did we say, about 12% going back to 2013. Let's see what's done since 2000, just the last 5 years. So for 5 years, 14.77. Again, 9 basis points below the index. All right, so let's go back to VDIGX, and we'll show you the difference here. It's very interesting, actually. If you're interested in this stuff. And this might be one where it's good to own both, frankly. I'll share with you why. So we're going to go to portfolio. Man, we had 60 or over 200 stocks in the last one. Here we only got 40. That's it, 40. So here's what's called active share. It's very active share. It's only got 40 stocks relative to its benchmark, which means it's got a lot of faith in the stocks it owns. Here's the top 10. Johnson & Johnson, United Healthcare, Notice Walmart's not even in here, where it was, I think, the top 3 in the other one. So you can see Nike, was that TJ Maxx? Is that TJ Maxx? That Target? I think it's TJ Maxx, right? Medtronic, Union Pacific. So a lot of difference. And these top 10 holdings represent over a third of the total portfolio. That's crazy, man. So that's a very concentrated fund. If we go back to, let's go to performance and see what this guy has done. And you will see, I have no idea, actually, I haven't looked at this. For 5 years, this averaged 13.19, so pretty close, all in all, pretty close, but a little bit better. Very interesting, though. The dividend growth splice index, I don't even know what that means, so I don't know. But check this out. Performance before taxes, right there, we'll just go 5 years, 13.53. Performance after taxes, 12.21. You're losing... Instead of 60 basis points to taxes on distributions, here you're losing 1.3%, which is why this should be in the Roth, by the way. Why is that? Well, let's check this out, shall we? Go to distributions. We're going to go, long-term capital gain, short-term capital gain, long-term capital gain, 2019, 2019, 2020, short and long-term capital gains. Interesting. While they still have per share dividend distributions, they also have short and long-term capital gains. Let's go to VDAD. All right, so you saw that, right? And we'll go into this a little bit more. VDAD, and we're going to go to distributions. And you're going to notice, no capital gains whatsoever. Interesting. So let's go to Schwab. I think I might need to read. Okay, good. So we got a dividend growth fund right here. And I'm just going to show you. And again, I own this fund. So look, 1229, long-term capital gain. 2020 mean long-term capital gain. 2019, long and short-term capital gain. 2018, look at that, $1.24 in long-term gain and 11 cents a short. So they are spitting out lots of capital gains there. 2017, 2016, 2015. Isn't that crazy, man? And here, dividend income, they got every quarter. Actually, it looks like only 3 times last year. March, June, yeah. Oh, they're only paying dividends 3 times, not even every quarter. That's interesting. March, June, no September, October dividends. All right, so look at that. So they're paying dividends only 3 times a year, but they're getting these capital gains. And that's what's causing more taxes on this fund, because you're getting those capital gains. In fact, if we look at portfolio, I want to show you, you're going to go back test this, portfolio visualizer, which is freaking awesome, by the way. We're going to reinvest dividends, all right, just to show you. We want to show you that to begin with. And I want to show you this, so check this out. And we're going to go down to, I forgot where I left this off. Let's analyze the portfolios. So we're reinvesting dividends, right? And we're going to compare this, I think, to the S&P 500. Let's growth ETF. Let me get rid of this one for just a second. Let me get rid of the growth ETF. There we go. All right. So we're going to, so here's the S&P 500. Actually, let me just get rid of the ETF. Let me just get rid of the index too. We'll just go none, blink. All right. So here, we're going to look at almost identical performance. Look at that. I mean, they started with $100,000 in 2014 and they end with almost identical. You basically $180 difference. That's it. So basically the identical portfolio holdings. That's reinvesting dividends. What if we don't reinvest dividends? All right, so we're going to say no. We're going to take these as cash, because a lot of people say, I want to live off my dividends. So let's check this out. You ready? Whoa. Look at that. Portfolio 1's at 155. Portfolio 2's at 187. Portfolio 1's VDIGX. Right there. Look at that. So if you're not reinvesting your dividends, Portfolio 1 is significantly behind from a total cost or total value perspective. And the reason for that is because here are the dividends right here. And that's dividends and that's distributions, total distributions, dividends and capital gains. So you can see $3,600 for dividend growth fund in 2014 versus $2,100 for the dividend, the other fund, the index fund, dividend appreciation. $5,900, more than twice. So I mean, basically almost twice, more than twice the income distribution for dividend growth. Pretty close to saying, not really. It's about 33% more than twice, more than freaking. That's more than 3 times, more than twice, and not quite. That's still 33% more because of those long-term capital gains. That's what's happening here. And so, if you want income and you're not reinvesting, you're going to take it from the dividend growth fund because you're going to get capital gains, which means, of course, you're paying taxes on that money if it's in a brokerage account. If it's a non-brokerage account, IRA, ideally a Roth IRA, would be better off for sure. So annual returns, the dividend growth 11, beat it a couple times. So basis, it's the red is the portfolio 1, I think, right? Yeah, red is portfolio 1. No, red is blue is portfolio 1. So dividend growth beat it 1, 2. We're 2 and 1, 2 and 2, 3 and 2, 4 and 2, 4 and 3. So pretty close to similar returns, right? Now that's without dividends reinvested. That's taking cash out. So we want to reinvest dividends. Let's see what it looks like there. It should be pretty close to the same, I think. Let's take a gander because they end up at the same. Look at that, almost identical. That's crazy, man. And here you see, again, the same thing. So we're basically 4 and 3 when it comes to overall return. The dividend growth is beat at 4 times as 1.4, and the dividend appreciation 1.3. So it really matters of what you're trying to get. If you're reinvesting dividends, the dividend appreciation. Well, from a tax perspective, the dividend appreciation is better. There's no other way around that because you're not going to get long-term or short-term capital gains sent to you. From a pure risk potential growth perspective, the dividend growth is where it's going to be because concentrated portfolios have a better chance to outperform because they're taking more risk on fewer bets. And of course, all it takes is 1 or 2 of those puppies to take off, and you're freaking loving it. On the contrary, all it takes is 1 of those 2 of those puppies to go, through the roof, through the basement, and you're sunk. You see what I'm saying? So this might be one you have a little bit of both actually, where you say I'm going to split them up. So I'm going to have 1 concentrated for active share, and I'm going to have 1 for an index for passive, and then the 1 concentrated for active share I will have in a Roth or having an IRA. Don't want that in a taxable account. And the other one, absolutely, because there is no taxable. They're not paying any capital gains whatsoever on VDAD. None. It's only dividends. That's it, which is pretty cool to know. All right. Love to hear your thoughts. Hope this helps. Again, I own VDIGX. I don't own VDAD, but I probably will buy that here shortly. All right. We'll see you.